I met Ilara during a bustling autumn at university. She was a sprinter for the varsity track team, known for her swiftness and grace, both on and off the field. The first time I saw her, she was dashing past the bleachers, a streak of determination and fiery hair that was hard to miss. The whirlwind began at a mutual friend's party. Our eyes met across the crowd, and something unspoken yet profoundly electric passed between us. After a brief exchange of glances and a shy smile, I found the courage to approach her. We talked, laughed, and eventually the digits were exchanged, the first thread in what I believed would be a lasting bond. Ilara was intriguing, not just for her athletic prowess, but for her sharp wit and the mysterious air that surrounded her. She was seeing someone at the time, a quarterback named Rick, popular and charismatic. But it wasn't at your TMT long before she broke things off with him. To me, it was a clear signal. I was the one she chose. How naive I was. Our relationship progressed quickly, fueled by youthful passion and the intoxicating thrill of new love. Ilara moved into my apartment as summer turned to fall. She was there when I was away for games, making it her own little sanctuary. It felt right, it felt destined. But the shadows were creeping close, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the fall. I remember one night vividly. We had celebrated my teammate's birthday with a raucous party, followed by another for my birthday. It was wild, reckless. Amidst the revelry, we lost ourselves to the night, not thinking of the consequences. The next morning, hungover and hazy, I decided to help Ilara mark the occasion on her digital calendar AEUR. She liked keeping track of everything. That to your TMs when I stumbled upon it. The calendar. A mosaic of secrets laid bare on a small glowing screen. The entries were coded in colors AEUR, a system of silent alarms. Red for her days, black for other days. Days that coincided with my travel schedule for away games. My heart sank as I tapped each entry, uncovering names of people I knew, confidants turned traitors. In that moment, the world as I knew it shattered. The betrayal cut deep, a jagged chasm that threatened to swallow me whole. Yet the storm was just beginning. Little did I know this revelation was merely the first chapter in a saga of revenge and redemption, a journey that would redefine the essence of my being. The discovery of Ilara's betrayals was a bitter pill that wouldn't go down. The room spun around me as I tried to make sense of the chaos sprawled across her calendar, a UR, each black marker, a stab in the heart. With a heavy heart, I confronted her. The air was thick with tension as I laid out the evidence before her. Ilara's face went pale, the corners of her mouth twitching in a nervous tic that hadn't been there before. The walls of the apartment felt like they were closing in, suffocating me with the magnitude of her deceit. She tried to explain, to justify, but her words were empty, hollow sounds that did nothing to quench the flame of anger raging within me. I listened, or pretended to, while my mind raced, plotting, planning retribution. This wasn't just about heartbreak, it was about reclamation, about taking back the dignity she'd stolen from me. In the days that followed, I moved like a ghost through my routines, the weight of betrayal anchoring every step. Basketball practice became my only solace, the court a place where I could drown out her lies with the bounce of the ball and the swish of the net. But even the game I loved couldn't keep the thoughts at bay for long. I needed a plan. Revenge was a dark path, but it beckoned like a lighthouse in the stormy night of my heartbreak. My thoughts turned to her circle, her friends on the track team. If she could betray me so easily, perhaps I could sow discord within her ranks, give her a taste of her own bitter medicine. It started with subtle hints, a whisper here, a suggestion there. I befriended one of her closest teammates, Jenna, under the guise of seeking comfort. Jenna, with her sunny disposition and naive trust, was the perfect gateway into Ilara's world. Little by little I planted the seeds of doubt, watching as they took root and began to flourish. The parties were my battlefield. With every event I made sure to be seen, to be charming and enigmatic, drawing in those who orbited around Ilara. It wasn't long before the whispers began to grow, the looks to linger, Ilara's fortress of solitude, built on lies and deceit, started to crumble as suspicion bloomed like a toxic flower. Yet, as I watched her world begin to falter, a hollow feeling started to take root within me. Was I any better than her, spinning this web of deception and hurt? The question haunted me, a specter in the jubilant chaos I'd created. But it was too late to turn back. The dice had been cast, and fate would have to play its hand. As the web of deceit spread, I found myself drawn deeper into the game of revenge. The satisfaction of watching Ilara's social circle destabilize gave me a twisted sense of accomplishment. Yet the taste of victory was ashen. My actions were mirroring the very betrayal that had wounded me, transforming me into someone I scarcely recognized. One evening at a team gathering that buzzed with the undercurrents of my machinations, I observed Ilara from across the room. Her laugh, once music to my ears, now sounded forced. Her smiles were tense, guarding secrets I had unleashed. Watching her facade crack, I felt a pang of remorse. But the darker part of me silenced at EUR. This was justice, wasn't it? As the party waned and the crowd thinned, I found myself isolated, my thoughts my only company. The truth hit me hard. I was no longer the victim, but a puppeteer pulling strings that ensnared not just Ilara, but also those around her, innocent bystanders in our personal war. The realization was a cold splash of clarity. What had I become? In seeking to hurt Ilara, I had hurt myself, wrapping my heart in the same darkness that had enveloped hers. It was a moment of truth, a crossroads that offered a path to redemption or deeper into the abyss. That night, under the heavy cloak of my thoughts, I made a decision. Enough was enough. The cycle of revenge had to be broken, not for Ilara, but for me, for my peace. The following day, I approached Jenna, the sunny-faced track star I had manipulated as my confidant. The guilt of using her goodwill weighed heavily on me as I met her gaze, her eyes bright with trust and friendship. "Jenna, I need to confess something," I began, the words heavy on my tongue. I told her everything, as you are. The deceit, the manipulation, the revenge. I watched as her face fell, the hurt clear in her eyes. "Why would you do that?" she asked, her voice a whisper of disbelief. "I was hurt, and I thought it would make things right, but I was wrong. So very wrong," I admitted, the burden of my confession pressing down on me. Jenna was silent, processing the betrayal. After what felt like an eternity, she spoke. "AITA, your TM's going to take a while to trust you again, but I appreciate your honesty." Her words were a balm to my raw conscience, offering a glimmer of hope that forgiveness was possible. I vowed then to make amends, to right the wrongs I had set in motion. It was a promise to myself, a step towards healing the wounds I had inflicted and suffered. From that day forward, I worked to rebuild the trust I had shattered. With each honest interaction, each genuine apology, I felt the shadows receding, replaced by the light of reconciliation and new beginnings. The days that followed were a testament to the strength of the human spirit, EUR, to forgive and seek forgiveness. As I engaged more honestly with those around me, I realized that the path to redemption was fraught with challenges, yet deeply rewarding. I turned my focus back to basketball, the sport I loved, channeling my energies into something positive, something that brought joy rather than pain. On the court, I was free from the tangled emotions that had plagued me, allowed to simply be in the moment, every dribble and shot a step away from the past. But the true test came when I had to face Ilara again. We had avoided each other since the party, moving in separate circles that never crossed EUR until now. During a university event, our paths finally intersected. The air was thick with unspoken words as we stood awkwardly, the past looming between us. "Ilara," I started, unsure of how to bridge the gap. "I owe you an apology. What I did was wrong, and I'm sorry for the pain I caused." She looked at me, her eyes searching mine, perhaps looking for the sincerity in my words. After a long moment, she nodded. "Thank you, I wasn't your tempt perfect either. I made mistakes your. Let your TMMs just try to move forward," I suggested. the weight of our shared history pressing down on us. "Agreed," she replied, a hint of relief in her voice. That conversation, brief as it was, marked a new beginning. It was not about rekindling what was lost, but about acknowledging our faults and learning from them. The relief of reconciliation, even a partial one, was palpable. It was like shedding a heavy coat after a long winter, stepping into the spring sun. With each day, my interactions became easier, lighter. The basketball team noticed the change too. My coach commented on it one afternoon after practice, clapping a hand on my shoulder. "Your Tamdor, playing with a clear head now. Keep it up." The team's dynamics improved as well. We played better, communicated more on the court, and supported each other like never before. It seemed that my personal healing was contributing to a larger collective betterment. As the season progressed, our team climbed the rankings, each game a step closer to the championship we had dreamed of. It was during these moments of collective triumph that I truly understood the power of letting go of bitterness, of regret, of revenge. The championship game was a culmination of all our efforts, a testament to the power of teamwork and perseverance. When we finally clinched the title, the roar of the crowd filling the stadium, I felt a surge of indescribable joy. It was a victory not just for the team, but for me personally, a sign that I had emerged from the darkness that once threatened to consume me. With the basketball season behind us and the glow of victory still fresh, I found myself at a crossroads once more. The sport had given me purpose, a direction, but the off-season was a reminder of the other parts of life I had neglected, my studies, my future career, and my personal growth outside of athletics. As I pondered my next steps, I received an unexpected invitation from the university's literary club a group known more for their reflective discussions and quiet gatherings than the dynamic intensity of sports arenas. Curiosity piqued, I decided to attend a meeting, stepping into a world far removed from my own. The change of pace was refreshing. Here, battles were fought with words, victories won with eloquence and insight. I was drawn to the passion these students had for their craft, their ability to weave complex emotions into compelling narratives. It was here, among aspiring writers and poets, that I found a new outlet for my own tangled thoughts. I began to write, tentatively at first, then with increasing confidence. My first piece was a reflection on loss and redemption, heavily inspired by my own experiences. To my surprise, it was well received, the club members appreciating the raw honesty and emotion I had poured into the words. Encouraged, I continued to write, each piece a step further into my journey of self-discovery. Writing became a therapy, a way to process the emotions I had long buried under the facade of the tough athlete. It was a revelation, the act of putting pen to paper, liberating thoughts and feelings that had no place on the basketball court. As the months passed, I grew more involved in the club, eventually being elected as its president. It was a role I embraced with enthusiasm, eager to give back to the community that had offered me solace and a new perspective on life. Under my leadership, the club flourished. We organized workshops, guest lectures, and even a small literary festival that attracted writers and enthusiasts from across the campus and beyond. The success of these events was a testament to the collective effort of all the members, a symbol of what could be achieved when diverse minds and talents came together. Through it all, I maintained a connection with my basketball team, balancing the physical demands of the sport with the intellectual stimulation of my literary pursuits. This dual life enriched me, each aspect feeding into the other, creating a well-rounded existence that I had once thought impossible. As graduation approached, I felt a sense of accomplishment, not just academically but personally. The journey from a vengeful, broken heart to a leader of a thriving community was not one I had anticipated, but it was one I walked with pride. As spring blossomed into summer, the echoes of my past began to resurface, not as haunts but as lessons learned. I had navigated through a tumultuous year filled with growth and newfound wisdom. Yet it was the approaching graduation ceremony that brought a reflective mood, urging me to look back and appreciate the full arc of my journey. During this period of contemplation, I encountered Alara once more. Our meetings, once fraught with tension, had become moments of mutual respect, marked by an understanding that only those who have deeply hurt each other could fully comprehend. It was during one of these encounters, a chance meeting at a campus Café C, that we found closure. "I've been reading your articles in the school paper," Alara said, her tone sincere. Your team are really good. It seems like you found your calling." I smiled, appreciating her words. "Thanks, Alara. It took a while, but I'm getting there. How about you? How are things?" She shared updates from her life, her plans for after graduation, and her aspirations to coach track and field. The conversation was light, yet beneath it lay the weight of our pasta UR, a shared history that had shaped us both. "It's strange, isn't it?" I mused, stirring my coffee slowly. "How everything turned out. I guess we both learned a lot." "We did," she agreed, looking thoughtful. "And I'm sorry for everything." "I am too," I replied, the words easier now, freed from the bitterness that once colored them. "But we moved on, grew up. Your TM's what matters." As we parted ways that day, there was a sense of finality, a feeling that we had finally stepped beyond our past grievances, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead with open hearts and minds. With graduation looming, I prepared a speech as the literary club president. Standing at the podium on that sunny morning, looking out at the sea of caps and gowns, the reality of the moment struck me. I spoke of resilience, of the importance of writing one AURTM's own story, and the strength found in forgiveness. My voice carried across the crowd, steady and sure, the words resonating with a depth born of genuine experience. After the ceremony, surrounded by family and friends, I felt a profound sense of accomplishment. My mother, ever supportive, hugged me tightly, her eyes brimming with tears of pride. "You did it," she whispered. "I'm so proud of you, not just for this," she gestured to the cap and gown, "but for the person you've become." Her words filled me with a warmth that went deep, a validation of all the struggles and triumphs that had brought me to this point. As the celebrations continued, I felt a peace settle over me, the kind that comes from deep inner work and the knowledge that I had truly turned a page. Post-graduation life opened up a new chapter, one filled with opportunities and the promise of fresh beginnings. I had secured a position at a renowned publishing house, a job that seemed tailor-made for someone with a passion for words and a history of transforming personal trials into literary expression. The transition from student to professional was exhilarating. Every day brought new challenges and learning experiences. I was involved in editing manuscripts, a task that required a keen eye and a deep understanding of how to connect with readers. This work, so closely aligned with my love for storytelling, was fulfilling in a way I had never anticipated. Yet, as much as I thrived in my career, I found myself drawn back to the basketball court. The game was in my blood, and the absence of it left a void that no amount of literary success could fill. To bridge this gap, I joined a local league, a decision that reignited my passion for the sport without compromising my professional pursuits. On the weekends, I coached a youth basketball team. It was a joy to teach the game to enthusiastic young players, to see them grow and learn not just about basketball, but about teamwork and perseverance. This role brought a sense of balance to my life, merging my past with my present, allowing me to give back in a way that felt deeply rewarding. As the months passed, my routine became a blend of manuscripts by day and basketball by night. It was during one of these evening practices that I met Ava, a fellow coach who shared my love for the game and for literature. Our shared interests sparked a connection that quickly deepened into something more. Ava was insightful, with a quick wit and a profound love for poetry. Our conversations stretched for hours, effortlessly flowing from basketball strategies to our favorite authors. It was AmITheA long before our professional respect turned into a personal bond, one that felt as if it had always been meant to be. Together, we explored the city EURTM's literary scene, attending readings and book launches, immersing ourselves in the vibrant community of writers and artists. With Ava, I found a partner who understood the dual passions that drove me and who celebrated each aspect with genuine enthusiasm. Our relationship strengthened with each passing day, built on a foundation of mutual respect and shared passions. It was a partnership that enriched every aspect of my life, bringing joy and a profound sense of companionship. As summer turned to fall, Ava and I took a significant step forward in our relationship. We moved in together, blending our lives and our libraries, our home a reflection of our shared loves and aspirations. It was a time of contentment and anticipation, each day a new opportunity to write our own story together. Life with Ava was vibrant, our days a tapestry woven with shared dreams and individual aspirations. However, like any couple, we faced our share of challenges. Balancing our careers, personal interests, and our relationship required more effort as our responsibilities grew. Ava had begun working on her first poetry collection, a project that consumed much of her attention and energy. Her dedication was inspiring, but it also meant long hours spent in solitude, crafting the perfect verses. Meanwhile, my role at the publishing house had expanded, involving more travel to meet with potential authors and attend book fairs. Despite these pressures, we made a point to support each other. I attended her poetry readings, standing in the back with pride swelling in my chest as she captivated the audience with her eloquence. Similarly, Ava was a constant presence at my basketball games, cheering the loudest from the sidelines, her presence a beacon of support. Our evenings were our sanctuary. No matter how hectic our schedules, we reserved time for each other, EUR. Sometimes a quiet dinner at home, other nights a walk through the nearby park, discussing our days or sharing silence, comfortable and soothing. It was during one of these walks that Ava stopped mid-step, turning to face me under the glow of the street lamps. Her expression was serious, a stark contrast to her usual playful demeanor. "There I am, something I've been meaning to talk to you about," she began, her voice tinged with hesitation. Curiosity piqued, I nodded for her to continue. "Our TM have been offered a fellowship," she said. "AITA a fantastic opportunity for my writing, but AITA in Paris." The news was a jolt. Paris was an ocean away. That your TMs. Amazing, Ava, really." My words were genuine, but a knot of concern formed in my stomach. "I know," she sighed, "but it means being apart for nearly a year. I wouldn't yertempty ask this of you if it wasn't yertempty such a big opportunity." "I understand," I replied, masking my worry with a smile. "We yertm'll make it work, right? We yertme've handled distance before." "Yes, but this feels different," she admitted, her eyes searching mine for reassurance. We spent the rest of the night discussing how we could maintain our relationship despite the distance. Plans for regular video calls, visits, and shared projects filled the conversation, building a bridge across the impending gap. When Ava left for Paris, it was with a tearful goodbye at the airport. The following months were a test of our commitment and love. We clung to our scheduled calls like lifelines, each conversation a reinforcement of our bond. During these months, I poured my loneliness into coaching and my work, using the time apart to foster my own growth. When Ava returned, it was to a stronger, more independent version of myself, just as she had grown through her experiences in Paris. Ava's return from Paris marked a new phase in our lives together. Her time abroad had filled pages with beautiful verses and opened doors to new opportunities, while my own career had flourished with a deeper involvement in community sports programs and a promotion at work. Our reunion was not just a continuation of our shared path, but a celebration of our individual growth. In the weeks that followed, we found a new rhythm together, balancing our careers and relationship with a renewed appreciation for each other's dreams and ambitions. The experience of living apart had taught us the value of communication, trust, and the joy found in simple moments shared. One crisp autumn evening, as we walked through the park where we TMD had many evening strolls, I stopped, turning to face her under the fading light of dusk, the leaves painting a mosaic of gold and red under our feet. "Ava," I started, my heart pounding with a mixture of nerves and excitement. "These past months have shown me just how much you mean to me, how empty my days are without you. I don't want to go another day without making sure you know that." Ava's smile was all the encouragement I needed to continue. "I love you," I said, "and I want us to start a new chapter together. A permanent one." Reaching into my pocket, I pulled out a small box, opening it to reveal a ring. Her gasp was soft, joy lighting up her eyes. "Yes," she whispered, tears glistening in her eyes as I slipped the ring onto her finger. "Yes, I will." The engagement was a promise, not just of a wedding to come, but of a lifetime of days spent supporting each other, experiencing the world together and writing our own story. We married the following spring, an intimate ceremony surrounded by those who had supported us through thick and thin. Our vows were promises of continued support, of passion for each other, EURTM's dreams, and of a commitment to face whatever challenges life might throw our way, EUR together. As we stood hand in hand, I realized that life had come full circle. From the pain of heartbreak to the joy of lasting love, each step had been a necessary part of the journey, each chapter essential to our story. With Ava by my side, I looked forward to the future, to the many chapters we would write together in love and partnership. Life, I knew, was a mosaic of experiences, challenging, rewarding, and utterly beautiful.